This isn't about quantity of content. This is about quality. And I really think that we're going to start to see communities demand that of content, and you will pay the price.
Welcome to Rocky Mountain Marketing. I'm your host, Katie Brinkley. Join us as we dive deep with the world's leading digital marketing experts every single Tuesday. It's all about giving you the strategies that are working right now, directly from those who are making an impact. With my 20 years of experience, I'm here to help you navigate the world of digital marketing. Whether you're looking to sharpen your skills or transform your business, you're in the right place. Let's get started on today's journey to success. Welcome back to this week's episode of Rocky Mountain Marketing. We're going to go into the time machine, but time machine means going backwards, but we're going to step into the future. So I don't know if we need to go into the DeLorean or how this is going to work, but whatever's happening is happening on LinkedIn, and it's happening with the best expert when it comes to LinkedIn, my good friend that is joining us from down under, but really it depends on where you are, because are they down under? Are they on top? And oh man, this is already starting upside down this episode. We're talking with my good friend, Michelle J. Raymond. And Michelle and I met at Social Media Marketing World in 2024. She's been a guest on the podcast before, and she and I talked all about LinkedIn company pages. And before I hit record here, Michelle literally got done saying, man, do I want to be known as the person that talks about LinkedIn company pages all the time? And that is one of the things we're going to talk about today, because it's one of the features of LinkedIn that so many people have questions about. But it's true. Like, when you get known for something, is that what you want to be known for? Because you are a wealth of knowledge when it comes to LinkedIn, Michelle. I was actually reading one of your newsletters. I think it was from 2 weeks ago, and it was all about your 2025 predictions. And this is where it piqued my interest on how I wanted to take today's conversation with our podcast back into the future in the DeLorean. But I wanted to talk about the future of LinkedIn, and I was going to bring it into the company newsletter, or the company pages kind of topic. But everything that you talk about in this newsletter that you published a few weeks ago is not just about company pages. I'm going to only ask you one company pages question in today's podcast episode. So folks, you got to listen to the whole thing if you have company pages questions to find out what company pages question I'm going to ask Michelle. But if you want more company pages facts and questions, you have to follow Michelle over on LinkedIn at Michelle J. Raymond, or go back and listen to Michelle's previous episode here on Rocky Mountain Marketing. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Michelle J. Raymond, she is the founder of B2B Growth Company, and she's spoken on stages all over the world. She has clients all over the world, and she's made her mark as a leading LinkedIn growth strategist. Now, those of you who are regular listeners to the podcast, you know LinkedIn is one of my favorite platforms. And any of you that are still sleeping about being over on LinkedIn, y'all are missing out. Hopefully, after today's podcast with Michelle, 2025, you will dive into LinkedIn. Or if you're already on LinkedIn and you're not seeing results after today's podcast, you will say, Michelle, she has given me the spotlight into what I need to do. She has shown the guiding light on where I need to go and what I need to do, because she's been doing this for over 20 years. She has over 20 years in B2B sales and almost a decade of social selling over on LinkedIn. She's literally written the book on LinkedIn called Business Gold, seen over my shoulder here. It's the first book that is exclusively dedicated to LinkedIn company pages. And she's also written the LinkedIn branding book. Michelle, thank you so much for joining us on Rocky Mountain Marketing once again.
Of course, I'm so glad to be back, and I am from the future. So I'm here in Sydney, so I'm a day ahead of you as we record this. And I can tell you the day is beautiful. It is gorgeous here in Sydney. So thank you for your kindness in the introduction, because I do love all things LinkedIn. I do love company pages, but just like everybody else, like some days they have me feeling like I'm banging my head against the wall. And then other days I'm like, oh no, you can't go cutting them off, because if you cut this off, these are the consequences. And so, to anybody that has got their own niche on any topic, it doesn't matter what it is, you have to realize at the time, and I didn't, when I chose it, I didn't realize I'd be talking about that for the next forever in my life. And so it's been quite interesting to have fell into that by accident almost, and then now be known globally around that company pages topic. And so it's that pendulum that swings in my mind, and I'm human just like your listeners. And I hope it gives other people out there some space to breathe, Katie, to just go, yeah, sometimes I feel like that, because I don't think we talk enough about the feelings of what it's like to be a content creator, because it's not always sunshine and fairies.
Well, and Michelle, well, you did write the book on LinkedIn company pages. So, I mean, you're kind of tied to it, just like I'm kind of tied to this whole posting less on social media thing. We write a book on it and we're kind of married to it for a while. But everything that you say, anytime you say anything about LinkedIn company pages, that's exactly what I do. I'm like, okay, Michelle said to do this. This is what I got to do. And well, I guess let's start with LinkedIn company pages, because this is where the conversation started. LinkedIn company pages, they still work. You still need to have a presence over there. They're important for your businesses. But if you're going to have a LinkedIn company page in 2025, what do you think the biggest tip should be for, and I'm going to say like enterprises, so people that, business pages that maybe have already like 10,000 followers. So I'm not talking about a business page that's just getting off the ground. This company page has been established and they've been they're a well-known company, so they've already got a lot of people following their page, but maybe they don't know what type of content to push out. What's the biggest tip that you would give them, shift that you see happening for company pages in 2025?
I appreciate you putting that distinction there, because we're not talking about consultants or solopreneurs in this particular example. It's very, very different. And company pages may not be right for that type of enterprise. But let's go to the big guys. Let's have a look at an existing brand, probably a reasonable number of employees, a good page following, like you said, 10,000 page followers. The main problem is pretty much summed up as this: get over yourself. Stop talking about your company, because nobody cares. There, I said it. The thing is that companies exist because they solve problems for other people out in the world. And those companies then pay them money to make the problems go away. And what happens is most company page content ends up talking about the business, all about the business. We did this, we did that, we're so amazing. And that might be okay if the goal of your company page is talent attraction. But if your goal is to create content to grow your business, we need to really switch these things up. And what I've discovered, Katie, working with these enterprise level clients around the world, I don't know if they do it intentionally. I actually don't think that they do. But what happens over time is I look at their company page content. I then go and do some research and look at their main competitors. And I can hardly tell the difference between both lots of content. And it's almost like in our industry, this is the kind of content that we create. This is what it looks like. In one case, with one of my clients, their main competitor, and there's pretty much only two of them in the world, they both have the same brand colors. So it's almost indistinguishable between the two of them. So we really need to come back to creating content on the page that's in service of our ideal clients, that helps them move along in their decision-making process, and make sure that we haven't accidentally morphed into our main competitors with that content. And the word differentiation is my word for 2025. I think that's where we need to get to. And it's kind of the only answer I've found to, can we get away from boring? And I know I just covered a lot in that. It's a big answer, but the three are intertwined, and we just need to stop. That's why company pages don't work, because content is boring, self-serving, and offers no value to the readers. If we fix those, we fix our company page. So that's why I'm so passionate about it.
Okay, so you're telling me that company pages, if you have a massive following, if you're an established company page with like 10K followers or more, 100K followers, whatever, what type of content do you see converting in 2025?
First of all, what we need to do is ditch all of those stock images, right? So let's just say there's no stock images on company pages ever again, right? So that's the foundation that we're going to lean on. Then, yes, the angels are singing in the background for so many people. That means we need to try and find ways that we can highlight the people. The people are the superstars of your own business, the employees. How can we bring them out front and center on the company page? And from that perspective, once we do that, the content that we're creating, as I said, is in service of that ideal audience out there. How do you solve their problems? The advantage that companies have over individuals as employees is that you can bring that collective knowledge together. So I want you to get the best minds in your business that come at things from different angles with unique perspectives and experience and knowledge. That's the thing that makes your business stand out so much. And so, from my perspective, the more that we can highlight those people and bring them front and center and that collective knowledge, the more people will pay attention, because buyers on the other side that are scrolling LinkedIn currently researching what companies should be on our shortlist, what products and services should we put on our shortlist. And if you're not talking about how you solve these kinds of problems, guess what? You miss out on being on the shortlist. And pretty much all the research shows if you're not on those three, kind of the list of three seems to be, everyone says go and get 3 quotes. I don't know if that's a thing in the US as well, but here we're always, 3 quotes. One's not enough. 2, you can't really tell. The third one seems to be the kicker. So if you're not on the list of 3, you've missed the opportunity altogether. And so from that perspective, that's why this stuff is so important to get right. We want you in front of more buyers.
Oh, man. Well, Michelle, you mentioned company pages for, I say an enterprise, but I mean, 10,000 followers. I don't really know if that's an enterprise or not, but a larger company page is very different than the solopreneur or smaller page. And I do want to get on to your predictions, your 2025 predictions, but when I'm sitting down with the company pages guru, I got to ask all the questions, and here I am going off track. So Michelle, explain to us a little bit how it's different for the solopreneur or the consultant or the smaller business as opposed to a larger company page, and how the strategy is a little bit different.
The thing that we need to talk about, Katie, is the elephant in the room. So for some people that are listening to the podcast right now, as soon as they hear the words company pages and LinkedIn in the same sentence, they are triggered and switch off. The smart people are going to listen and go, what's Michelle got to say about this? Why does she keep getting invited around the world to talk on this topic? And the thing is that there really is an opportunity there. But the main problem is, and we need to address this first, is that people are comparing, if I do a company page post versus a personal post, in general, personal content will perform better if we're measuring on post impressions and engagement. So if your only goal is to get a post seen by as many people as possible, then posting on a personal profile is the go-to, right? So I don't argue that point. That is the facts on LinkedIn. If you have a look at your home feed, you'll see lots of personal posts, followed by lots of ads, followed by more personal posts, and then a company page post. And so the logical answer is, well, why bother? Well, here's the thing. Number one, not every employee wants to post content, right? You think that it's just it's a great idea. Everyone wants to do it. Try training businesses and seeing what happens after the training. We know the stats are probably 1 in 10 people are actually the ones that are going to create content. So we've got that. What happens if that person leaves? What happens if you want to sell the business? If you create everything under your own personal name, then the problem becomes you can't transfer that to somebody else and you don't build any brand equity. So when we're looking at the strategies between a consultant or a small business, 1 or 2 people versus the enterprise, the fundamentals of marketing don't change. We need to have that target audience in mind. We need to think about what are their problems, their buying journey, what do they need to know about us? None of those fundamentals change. But what does change is how many resources that you'll put towards the effort that you put into your company page. So for people in a small business, so like my own, I've got 2 people here. So what happens is we don't put as much effort into the company page as my personal content. But in this case, what happened was over time, we realized that actually, with all the tools available now, we can increase the amount of content that we've got going out on the page, because now we can be more efficient with that kind of process. So what you'll hear is, hang on a minute, didn't she just say don't put effort? Oh, hang on, we can put effort. No, they're the same as enterprise. And what you're hearing is the fact that company pages don't have a one size fits all. There is no one size fits all to LinkedIn. So we go back to the fundamentals. What's your goals? What are you trying to achieve? And not just the short-term goals of post impressions. What do you want to do in the long term? So I realized that maybe one day I want to sell my business to somebody else. Maybe I want employees to come in. I don't want that right now. I'm happy with where it is, but maybe down the track. And so we need to always look at these things. But the thing that I see, Katie, I'm working with clients that have a couple 100,000 page followers. They don't get the basics right. They literally skip over branding, making things unique, making them memorable, making them stand out, making them in service of the audience. And so this is the thing that I have discovered in all my work with page admins. Honestly, we got to get back to the basics. Everyone thinks it's something fancy that's missing, and it's actually that we just skipped over the fundamentals.
I could not agree more. And I think that this is one of the things that stood out most to me, one that we're in alignment in, for one of your top picks of 2025, of where you kind of see content going in 2025, of mediocre is not good enough anymore. I think that was also one of my predictions of 2025, of checking a box is not worth it anymore. It's better to not post at all. If you're just checking a box to create social media content, don't do it. If you don't know the why behind it, if you don't know what the intention is, what the end goal is, or who your content is for, you don't need to post. Stop posting. For real, you don't need to do it anymore. And I think that mediocre content, it's better to spend the time creating good content. So I'd love it if you kind of elaborated on this trend that you think is going to be coming out in 2025 of mediocre content not being good enough anymore.
It really isn't, because there was a lesson that I learned a couple of years ago. I listened to a podcast episode randomly, and I'm not a podcast listener. I've been on record a lot of times. For someone that spends so much time guesting and having 2 shows of their own, I'm not a listener of podcasts. So for me to listen to one was a little bit strange, but I landed exactly where I needed to do. And I listened to an episode that was with someone that's called Miss XL on TikTok. Now, I'm not on TikTok in a way that I'm active and know what's going on, but this person, huge on TikTok, stacks of followers, really well known for making XL exciting. And you might be thinking, what's that got to do with this? Well, the conversation was really quite interesting, because what she said was, we're responsible for what the feeling is and the energy is that goes out with our content. And we can feel it when someone has just ticked a box. When you're scrolling your own feed, you can tell that it was just oh yeah, they just did that for the sake of it. Whereas somebody that has put effort and time into doing a valuable post, that you walk away and go, yes, that's exactly what I needed. That has helped me get towards my goals. I want more of that. And so when I had that kind of podcast episode a couple of years ago, I realized that I need to not fall into that trap as well. And I know that your amazing book goes into things like this as well. Getting back to community, not focusing on, the goal is not just posting content. I think we're missing the point. The point is not the content. The point is the relationships that we're building. And when you just tick and flick and do it just because, people feel it. And I don't mean that in some kind of weird woo-woo kind of way, but you just know what resonates with yourself and what captures your attention. And so I think it's really important to go back and go, why the heck are we actually doing this post? Who's it for? And if the answer is just so the company feels better because we've promoted our event or we've done this, that, or the other, that's not the right answer. If the answer is because we know it will help our ideal customer move towards maybe one day wanting to buy from us, or not even with a sale in mind, but just help them progress, then you're onto a winning strategy. And that's why people will keep coming back for more, as opposed to, seen that, been there. It could have been from anybody else.
And it's so true, Michelle. I think in a world, I mean, AI has really made social media content even easier to create, honestly. And I don't know if you met him at Social Media Marketing World last year. He was there, but he wasn't speaking last year. He spoke the year before. Austin Armstrong. Do you know Austin?
No.
He's the big TikTok but he's the creator of Syllabi, and it's a faceless video maker, and type prompts in and you can make faceless videos. And it's amazing, like just with words, you can create all these things so that you can get the stuff done. And I understand the purpose behind it. And I mean, Austin's going to come on to the podcast in a couple of weeks and talk about this tool because it's a great tool. But I think that in a world full of AI, but there has to be that point where the human steps in. And it's so easy. Even LinkedIn, like whenever I do a post on my phone, it's, do you want AI's help? And I'm like, no, not really. I know what I wanted to say, but it's asking me if AI should help. And so it's exactly with what you said, though. Like in a world where we can be more intentional, how can you show up to make someone stop the scroll and give real value to people? And it is by being you. It is by being the human. So I 100% agree with that 2025 trend. What other trends? We talked about company pages and having the spokesperson for your company step up. And then if you're a solopreneur or a consultant, like how you need to step into the spotlight in 2025. What else do you see happening in 2025 over on LinkedIn? Like what kind of shifts or content should we be preparing or creating over there?
And now for a quick break. We've all heard that AI can change the way that you do business. If you have a podcast, if you have a YouTube channel, are you repurposing your long-form content to its full capabilities? And that's where Capsho comes in. Check out Capsho and how they can help you create more content by visiting katiebrinkley.live/Capsho today and start using Capsho and AI to work smarter, not harder.
Just a note, if you use the links I provide, I may receive compensation.
You know as well as I do that life can get pretty hectic sometimes. It happens to all of us. That's why I'm offering you a simple weekly reminder so you don't miss out on any of Rocky Mountain Marketing's episodes. If you're up for exclusive tips, juicy details, and some inspiring quotes to brighten your day, just sign up for the free email newsletter. All you have to do is head over to katiebrinkley.com/podcast newsletter or find the link in the show notes.
All right, let's get back to the show.
The interesting shift, everybody by now has probably had the video feed that's been rolled out to them. So think short form, TikTok, Reels, YouTube Shorts style video feed over on LinkedIn. And so it's slowly being rolled out. And let's just say they're at the beginning of this process. Now, the short answer is to go, oh, everybody should do video, right? But I want you to stop for a minute because the point of LinkedIn doing that has nothing to do with short form video as such. You need to go a step back and go, LinkedIn's demographics have shifted, as have those in the workplace, where now 65% of LinkedIn members are Gen Z, right? They consume content in short form video content, right? Mm-hmm. That's their go-to style for the most part. So from that perspective, LinkedIn isn't doing it to chase a short form video trend. They're doing it because the platform shifted to Gen Z, right? So it's no longer the old Gen Xers like myself. Like it's not, we're not in the majority, which I think there's a bit of a, LinkedIn's for old people kind of thing. It's been around for so long. And so when you understand that Gen Z is taking over LinkedIn, you can, yes, focus on creating vertical short form content, but more importantly, you need to go back to what kind of content resonates with them. So they are the purpose driven. They are ones that you have to mean what you say. You have to show up and deliver, not just lip service. They're not the ones that are going, oh, wow, it's World Pride Day. You did a post today, but your whole business has nothing to do with it the rest of the time. Like they're calling you out on this kind of stuff. They expect you as a brand and a business to stand up for things and be quite out there and purpose driven. And so when you think about that, think about your audience right now on LinkedIn is most likely going to be in that category because they are moving up the ranks within businesses very quickly. And we need to start thinking, okay, if they're in buying roles out there or decision-making roles or supporting those decision-making roles, you might think, no way, Michelle, because in my business, I mostly deal with heads of marketing, directors of marketing, VPs of marketing, they're not doing the grunt work out researching, trying to find the 3 best LinkedIn trainers to go on the short list. They're putting it to their teams. And so don't ever ignore the fact that how active these people and how, much influence they have within businesses. And so looking at that trend, it goes out into the workforce as well. So, I work with a client who does research into this, and roughly, I think it's about 37% of the workforce out off LinkedIn, because there's a real world out there that we need to keep in mind. That's where Gen Z's at, right? So if you think that I'm just looking at this thing from a LinkedIn perspective, no, I'm also looking at it from a worldwide perspective about what's changing out there. So we need to create content. To go back to what you said, this isn't tick and flick. This isn't about quantity of content. This is about quality. And I really think that we're going to start to see communities demand that of content, and you will pay the price. You won't get the engagement. You won't get that community. Like, I know you're a huge fan like me of building communities. You don't get that from ticking and flicking. Again, like, let's go back to the social shift, as you say. I just got my book there. When you go back to that, and I love that the title is The Road Back to Community. And as someone that's been a relationship-based seller my entire career, I hope that this is where we end up in 2025. Can we just cross our fingers collectively and make an effort to end up back at community and relationships? Because that's what content was meant to do originally.
As we wrap up today's episode, man, Michelle, it always goes by so fast whenever we talk together. I want to ask you, with more people coming onto LinkedIn, you said it's really important for video. Gen Z is coming on. People want authenticity and purpose. And well, what is the difference then between LinkedIn nowadays and Facebook and Instagram and TikTok? Where do you see the differences between these platforms? And should people be on all the platforms, or is it going to be too much like Instagram? Or is it like, how is the culture? Are they all the same now? You haven't seen this presentation of mine, but I have a presentation where I show a video of cabbage and lettuce, and they say that they look the same, but they're really different. It's great. And I show it because in relation to social media, but tell me, how can I show this video anymore? Because now it really feels like all these platforms are really turning into being the same. Explain how they're different to me, Michelle.
Yeah, look, as someone that doesn't really use any other social platforms in general, so I don't use Instagram, I'm not on Blue Sky, X, Facebook, I haven't used in 20 years. I am all in on LinkedIn. And the main thing that is different to LinkedIn is this is where we come to do business. This is where the decision makers are. I am in work mode when I'm on LinkedIn, even though it's a bit social as well. It's more a networking style platform as opposed to please entertain me, educate me, inspire me, which is what a lot of these other platforms are. And so from that perspective, while LinkedIn has a video feed, they are not having that feed on there that's more that entertainment style. And when I first started looking at it, the feed was pretty awful, to be honest. It felt like a clone of the same type of TikTok style video over and over and over again. And I was like, get me out of here. I could never find the people that I wanted to see. And we were just talking about how even you and I are connected. We are friends. We love each other's content when it pops up, but LinkedIn doesn't serve it to us. It's like, where have you been? Have you actually been doing anything? Because I've never seen your content. And so this is the thing that we're going to start to see. We're going to have to be intentional. We're going to have to be proactive. We're going to have systems in place to make sure that we maintain those relationships and keep the eye on the prize. But Katie, one of the things that I have an amazing amount of empathy for any marketing managers out there who are doing everything. Like they are doing internal comms, external comms, websites, blogs, socials across all the platforms and going, oh my God, I'm drowning. Please help me. From that perspective, those are the people that I have the most empathy for. And I think you have to have the moment where you stand up to leadership and say, we can't be everything to everyone. We have to narrow this in, bring it in, pick our main platform and a backup and get really good at those and find what makes you unique. We spoke at the beginning of this episode about LinkedIn company pages is my thing that I stand out and talk about, and that's what makes me unique. And I think for businesses, they have to find a way to talk about themselves that makes them unique and stand out. And I don't think very many businesses know how to do it. Like I was talking to a packaging company this morning. There is a billion packaging companies in the world for all kinds of different products. Why are you different? Why should I pick you instead of one of the other 400 different ones that I could? Because I can jump onto Google. So from that perspective, go back. What makes you unique? And who are you trying to target? And the more that we narrow this in, the workload comes down. You get better at creating the types of content these people want. And that creates more effective content that will help you grow your business. And I know that I could talk about this all day and we have to unfortunately wrap this up shortly. And so I will stop. But, the things that will make a difference, find a way to differentiate your content from your competitors. And that is probably the most important trend that you can worry about in 2025.
Could not agree more. I think that it's you. You are the most important trend in 2025, right? Well, Michelle, this was a great conversation. Thank you so much for joining us on Rocky Mountain Marketing once again. And I'm looking forward to seeing you speak at Social Media Marketing World in 2025. A great conference. If you've never been, go get your tickets now because I think that they're just going to go higher in price. So get your tickets now to Social Media Marketing World. Check out Michelle. Well, I mean, not even just at Social Media Marketing World. Listen to Michelle's podcast. She's got a great podcast. Follow her on LinkedIn. Sign up for her LinkedIn newsletter. Check out her book, Business Gold. I've got it over my shoulder here in Business Gold. What else? Where else can we learn more things about Michelle J. Raymond?
Look, just come and connect with me on LinkedIn. Let me know that you listened to this podcast and what you took away. And what I hope most is that someone's going to take action from this, Katie, because I know that your podcasts are more than just inspiration. We are giving people actionable tips here. And so from that perspective, I want to hear what's the action that you took from listening to this podcast. That would make my day. That's why I love coming on amazing podcasts like this one, so that we can inspire people out there to get further, to achieve their goals and have a cracking 2025.
Amazing. Well, I will include all the links to connect with Michelle, get her book. And like I said, if you make your way out to San Diego this year and see her speak on stage, be sure to connect with her. She is just an incredible human being and a wealth of knowledge anytime it comes to LinkedIn. So thanks again, Michelle, for joining us on Rocky Mountain Marketing.
Cheers.
Thanks so much for listening to this week's episode of Rocky Mountain Marketing. I hope you're leaving with valuable insights and the inspiration to lead your market. If you've enjoyed our time together and found today's podcast episode useful, I have a small favor to ask of you. Please hit that subscribe button to stay updated with the latest episodes. And if you know someone who could benefit from these episodes, maybe a fellow business leader or an aspiring entrepreneur, go ahead and share this episode with them. Let's spread the knowledge and grow together. Also, I'd love to hear from you and continue the conversation beyond the podcast. Visit me at katiebrinkley.com to connect, to find more resources, or just to share your journey. And be sure to pick up your copy of my new book, The Social Shift, at katiebrinkley.com/book. Thanks again for tuning in. I'm Katie Brinkley, and I can't wait to dive into more strategies and stories with you on the next episode of Rocky Mountain Marketing. Let's keep on taking your marketing to new heights.